Dell EMC is one of the world's largest technology companies and is now taking edge computing to a new level. Joining me now is Jimmy Pike, Senior Vice President of the company, who will talk through the challenges in the market. Jimmy, thanks a lot for talking to me. What has changed in the edge computing space? Actually, let's start with the definition of edge computing, and then what are the changes that you're seeing in the market?
So I think edge computing is a well-worn, well-hyped term that we're using. It essentially means that things are happening closer to where the data is. Generally, it's a remote model where you want computing close to where the data is actually being created. But the bigger picture is it's actually an equipment strategy. The real model is what is the solution that you're trying to do. People ask me to define the edge. Well, there isn't an edge. There is a continuum of edges, and the edge basically is built around whatever the solution you're actually trying to come up with, the problem that you're trying to solve. So it varies greatly from customer to customer, to problem to problem.
Application to application.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. What's been the major applications that you've seen out there that really prove the need for edge?
Well, I think that as we get into this era of this extraordinary amount of data, it can only be described as a deluge of data. There are some applications, especially in the industrial space, where there isn't enough network bandwidth, or you can't tolerate the latency to send something to a very remote data center. So the need for processing it at the edge, and by the way, I think this is always going to be there. The people look to 5G as the solution for a lot of problems, and it will bring a lot of, I think, solutions and enable a lot more capabilities. But I think we've also oversold the hype around 5G.
Okay.
I think that this extraordinary amount of data and the need to cost-effectively manage and control that data are going to drive it to be at the edge.
Okay. And how do you see, for example, artificial intelligence helping 5G and managing all this data?
Well, I don't know how artificial intelligence and 5G really link together, but the avalanche of data actually exists in two forms. The first form is it's really not data yet, it's cyber noise.
Okay.
You have an extraordinary amount of data, and some of it you want to keep and some you don't. So recognizing patterns and using artificial intelligence, machine learning to find those patterns, I think that'll be the first place we see machine learning and edge kind of join together, and it will be that initial processing that actually determines what I can keep and what I can throw away, at least at some level.
Okay. And when you look at the market in general, do you still see a lot of companies trying to keep all the data, trying to understand all the data, even though it's a huge amount, or are they starting to realize that there needs to be a separation?
Actually, this is actually a reverse of a trend, I think, that had been around for a long time. The enterprise guys had kept data for a long time. They keep their data, but most of that data had been created by users, okay? Now we're getting into this era where a lot of the data is being created by devices, and the data to come is going to actually be where a machine takes data from one source, from data from another source, and what does it do? It creates more data that is a combination of those two things, or some number of those things like that. So we're actually moving away from where some of that data would have been discarded to this belief, and I think it's sort of substantiated, but it's still not proven, that I can mine a great amount of that data later on, and I can find hidden trends, and there's some determination of that, but I think in the general case, that's still yet to be shown.
Okay. And when we look into Dell EMC, what's the company doing around the edge?
Oh, well, I think this conference here, one of the things that we've done is we have a great portfolio of servers for compute and storage. That's germane to who Dell EMC is. But how you provision this and how you place the material, that's one of the things we've really focused on. And you can actually see a couple of examples of what we call the micro data centers, which is a small data center that has all the environmental, all the electrical, and all of the UPS models in a very small package that can be deployed virtually anywhere.
Okay, so you're going to be very much involved with these cell tower deployments with micro data centers?
I really hope that's the case.
Okay, and what other partners are you working with, especially for example, Intel? What's their role with helping Dell EMC really getting to the edge?
So Intel is probably one of the more primary partners to Dell, and we will continue to work with Dell with Intel as a primary supplier.
Okay, and as you mentioned, we're at the Edge Congress, so we are in Austin, Texas, 2018. We're going to be here in 12 months' time. What do you think is going to be the number one challenge that's going to be on everyone's mind over the next 12 months, and you think it's going to get fixed?
Fixed?
Yeah. What's the number one thing they think will get fixed in 12 months?
Fixed in 12 months. I think we'll have more deployment under our wings for people to begin to understand those hidden secrets that we really hadn't found out yet. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's happening, but there's really a lot that's yet to be defined, and how people are going to want to use this. I think that's the one thing that we'll grab. I think the thing, and this is probably the thing that worries me the most, is now we're going to have to deal with the hacker space and the security models for all these devices at the edge. And if we don't do that pretty quickly and do that well, I think that we're going to regret having not done that from the beginning.
Okay, Jimmy, thanks a lot for talking to me. Don't forget you can follow Data Economy on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and also visit the website on www.data-economy.com.